Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Shadow bringing you guys another video. Still at Sully's Abode Locals. I believe this was the final match of the day. I ended up facing a BY Luffy, and I believe he won Curve, and he chose to go second, which is what BY wants to do. They open up with the Flampe to on play, take a life, and draw a card. I've seen a lot of BYs do this just because it allows them to get themselves down, because I'm not going to swing at them whatsoever, and eventually I'm going to turn off their on play abilities, so they have to do it earlier than usual, although Flampe is a pretty typical BY early play. On my side, for my 3-down turn, I did Lafitte search a card, and I established .Q. Still, I'm not pitching for leader ability. I'm okay with not doing that. They just swing 9 at me. I take it. I swing 5 at the Flampe since he used it to get over the Lafitte. And I establish Burgess while also establishing stage. And I'm going to start cycling pitching cards to search top 3. Really just going to start doing this a lot to make sure Burgess gets up into the higher attack stat. We all know what BY does. And they want to make themselves either 7k, 9k, or, I've seen 11k, which, spoiler alert. But yeah, so Burgess is going to be essential, needing him to get to that higher attack stat. So he swings 6 at me. I take it, don't counter. I'd rather take the hits now before, potentially he starves me. He establishes an ace. I'm going to just play out a Laboon, use the -4 on the ace, and then .Q the ace to remove it. Trying to keep the board clear so he is unable to continue to pressure me. After that, I do play out a Lafitte and search, basically replacing itself in my hand, but I can also use it to cycle out with stage. But I end up finding a 10 drop, which I end up keeping in my hand because I am 2 turns away from being able to start slamming 10 drops down or playing them out if needed. And I check out the 2k and find a Burgess in that search. With 1 Don left, I do play a Tempest Kick just to draw and cycle another card into the trash. With the Tempest Kick, that is my 4th card in the trash, making Burgess now a 6k. So again, I had that extra Don, why not utilize it? And now I pitch .Q for leader ability. Coming on to the 8 Don turn, at best, potentially he could have played a Gecko Moria this turn and got cards from the grave onto the field. Unfortunately for him, all he has is a Flampe and Ace, so it wouldn't work, but it's still a big body. He could have done a Sabo cycle if he has Sabo, draw 2, trash 2, which is usually typically what they want to do. But he ends up establishing the 5-cost Fist Luffy, using the ability to trash his life and draw 1. Then uses the remaining down to swing 8 at the Laboon. I don't counter for it, and specifically because I have another Laboon in my hand that I am going to establish here to remove this Fist Luffy, to give it the -4 and pop it with the .Q again. Essential to remove the Fist Luffys because this is the only way BY gets down to no life, basically, since I am not allowing him to do Hiyori or Flampe. So I do the Lafitte search, end up grabbing another Burgess, and now I use stage, and I believe I have 2 Burgesses in hand, so pitching a Burgess would have been the ideal situation, but not sure what else I had in my hand. It's been about a week. Finger Pistol is the better choice now that I think about it, because 1, it has no counter. Burgess has at least a 1k, and once I get to 10, I'm going to slam the 10 drop instead of trying to go for board removal. So with the last 4 down, I established a Burgess. I pitched that stage that I got off stage for leader ability, so now they are both at 7k. And here I decide to swing with my leader. Honestly, was not the greatest of ideas to do because it just puts him in range, and you're going to see here he is going to establish another Fist Luffy and get himself down to 0 life, which now allows him to do leader ability. If I opted to not swing at his leader, I wonder exactly how he would have did this. Maybe still established the Luffy and did the ability. but still would have left him in an awkward spot for sure. But yeah, so gets himself down, pitches the Kuzan for his leader ability, trying to decide what exactly he wants to put into his life. As you see, my opponent, Matt G, does have a grip full of cards. He's got a lot. And I didn't realize that at first. Kind of just got lost in the space at this moment because I know BY is trying to think of the best things to do. And I thought that was his hand for a second. I look over, I saw no trash. I'm like, man, I wonder what you're going to put into life. But once I realized his hand was off to the side, I knew I was in a pretty awkward situation because it's a lot of cards in hand for BY. Yes, it could be a lot of bricks, but there is the potential that there are a lot of 2Ks. Because this deck, for some reason, can find all the 2Ks, and that's obviously with the Sabo cycles. But he has been able to, he hasn't popped one off, so really more in my favor at the moment. But I believe he's going to establish a Fist Luffy and the Ace. Oh, so yeah, Ace at the top, Fist Luffy at the bottom. Does the 2, does the baby Ace to get the on play. Does swing 9 at the Laboon, and I believe he passes turn because he can't do anything else. He just established both these bodies. Ace does not have rush because I used my leader ability. So at this point, I was okay with also losing the Laboon since the 10 drop would have replaced it. But if the Laboon would have stuck, would have been in a way better position for myself. Because I would have removed the Ace and stunned the Fist Luffy, not being able to use the ability. But yeah, 10 drop's going to hit the field. Obviously, you saw I cycled out beforehand. Got a little happy instead of getting all my stuff ready for the turn. But I do choose the Fist Luffy, and I'm going to pass turn. I'm not swinging with Burgess yet. Specifically because he could pretty much awaken by playing out another Luffy and then swing big at the Burgess, and I don't think they're big enough yet. So I'm kind of waiting it out, trying to get him down himself. He does use the little baby Luffy and gets himself to a 7k lead, down to no life, so now he can utilize his leader ability as well. He also opted to use the Luffy's ability. I know people usually just do it just to do it. It's really good against Shanks, obviously because they have the Rayleighs. But other than that, I mean, it's just probably force of habit, to be honest. But here he's trying to figure out what to put back in his life. And very lucky on my part that he has yet to see a Sabo, just a bunch of Luffys and Aces. And I've seen a lot of Aces being cut from BY and then putting in the Shirahoshi. Obviously, they got Kingdom Come for the 10 drop teaches, or pretty much the Shanks. I have yet to update my BY list. But you see here, he pretty much went wide, played double Luffy in the life, played out the little babies, got himself up to an 11k lead. Here, right here is where I kind of mess up. I should have blocked, but I think I chose not to because I was hoping that I can get a finger pistol out of life to pop one of these bodies on the field, because no matter what happens, I'm in a pretty tough spot. I pretty much have to go lethal here. He had 6 cards in hand too as well. I could have just slapped it all on my 10 drop and just went for the kill, but I didn't think about it like that. You're gonna see here, I'm gonna use stage, deciding what to pitch for stage. Yeah, made this turn very awkward for myself. I need to see a lot of thinking go on, but I'm gonna get there eventually. Yeah, so I don't think I have a 10 drop in my hand, or else that's the route I would have took. But in all honesty, playing it safe would have been the better thing to do, and that would have been to block my last turn. I do the Tempest kick, and I give -3 to the Luffy. And again, that's just getting Burgess up to an 8k now. And now I use another Tempest kick to reduce it again. I dot Q it. And I'm doing this because I do have a Vasco shot in my hand. That is what I was considering. So I decided to remove this Rocket Luffy just because he can use that to pop the Vasco, and then it'll put me in a really bad spot. Now I use the stage. I end up grabbing dot Q, and looks like here I end up playing over the Vasco a Laboon, tap another 2, and then I play a dot Q over, and I remove another Luffy. I'm actually playing the removal game, which, in all honesty, was definitely not the move. But doing all this, I am beefing up Burgess, and it is now a 9. And I decide to swing at the ace. And here he pitches 2 cards to save it, a 2k and a 1k, and I swing 9 again at the ace, and he pitches another 2 and a 1, leaving only 2 cards in hand. But the way he's countered, it's been 2 and a 1, and I decided at this point it's whether I play a Vasco shot or I put all the last of my Don on my Teach and just try to go for game. And I'm gonna contemplate it for a second, but I ultimately, instead of passing, I knew I was pretty much done for next turn, so I just decided to slap the 2 down on my 10 drop and end up getting game. He has 2 geckos in hand. So, misplay here at the last, but everything else is pretty good, but, you know, I got there eventually. But if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys thought. Don't forget that you guys can use code SGTCG on Dueling Guard for 5% off. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.